the unsold products, and it seems to have been shared out by people at work at that time. And so my father came home loaded on a Saturday afternoon with unsold cakes and gâteaux, the first time I became aware of the word, fancy jobs with chocolate or icing and so forth, and Battenbergs and Victoria sponge sandwiches, and also ice cream, which were in bricks of strawberry and vanilla, and also flat boxes containing 3 colours, stripes of pink, white and green, pistachio. But the length of his drive, his cycle home, meant that, speed up as he might, they were on the verge of melting when he came back. So rather like people at the Ramadan supper, we were at the table with bibs on and spoons in our hands. Then the moment my father arrived, the ice creams were taken out of their packets and opened up and decanted onto our plates, and we had a huge feast of ice cream at high speed. The cakes were an addition to our diet, because apart from Sunday tea, they were a feature of tea throughout the week, as we gradually ate them as they became stale throughout the week. I resumed school there. I have no memory of the schools at all, but only of being met by my mother, who would wait for us at 3 o'clock or 3:30, whatever it was. And as we walked home, she would buy us an ice cream, sometimes Lions, which were little cylinders of ice cream placed on a stick, or fruit, what was it called? Fruit slice, fruit stick, which were water ices made by Walls, which were cut into 1 penny. So if a halfpenny each, we would get half a water ice.
Oh, well, that's worth having.
My memory of the place was not much more. It cannot have been much longer. Oh, my other memory is that my mother bought from a door salesman Arthur Mee's Children's Encyclopedia, all 10 volumes of it.
Good gracious.
And it was, really, though there's a lot of sniffiness about Arthur Mee's Encyclopedia as being, these days, of being not too politically correct. It was a mine of information for my brother and I, as we were frequently sat down with the encyclopedia on our laps just to look at it. It was a bit too advanced for reading, look at the pictures, and so we became very used to it as over the years. Anyway, at some point, and quite why, we moved from Eastham to Brighton, to Hove, next door. And I can only think that this was partly under pressure from my mother, who seemed to have sort of itchy feet and wanted to move, and partly also due to some ambition on the part of my father to progress, because his passport, dated 1926, shows him to be a rather eager-eyed young man, and maybe there were promotions advertised in Joe W. Lyons. Surely must have been a promotion to go to the upheaval of setting off with the family down to Brighton to live in Diggs in Hove with a Mr. and Mrs. Grenier. I remember their name. My memories of that period are limited to contracting chicken pox, which kept us indoors for a while, and then when we recovered, of going out to Brighton to walk on the promenade, and having bought for us a little motorboat you could wind up and place on the boating pool, and it would go round to the other side where you could pick it up and wind it up again and send it back. And I also recall on one occasion the engine stopping, or the motor stopping in the middle of the lake, and my father having to take his shoes and socks off and roll his trousers up to go and fetch it.
Oh dear.
Which is rather typical of what befell my father on many occasions.
Oh dear.
We didn't go to school in Brighton, so I assumed that it was in the summer term and then the holidays. But we were on our move again, because we then went to probably to headquarters in Greenwich, or whether it wasn't headquarters, but headquarters of J.W. Lyons there. And we stayed with one of my father's colleagues in Charlton, which is, I'm not quite sure where it is, somewhere near Lewisham, whilst evidently my mother and father went hunting for somewhere to stay. And then we moved to an address in Weagle Road, Lee Green, which is also near to Lewisham. And we lived there for the next few months of our lives. And we resumed schooling at a school called St. Winifred's, which, looking up on Google, I see is still there, is a Catholic primary school. And of that school I have no memories apart from two. One is on being dragged to the front of the class on account of the name MacDonald, along with a girl of a similar Scottish name, and for some reason the teacher put her arms round both of us and said, "These are descended of the clans in Scotland, the wild clans of Scotland," to my great embarrassment.
Oh dear.
And on the other was at the time of the boat race, which was much more of a national event then than it became, on my way home from school, being targeted by bully boys who demanded to know which university I supported, and I said Cambridge, whereupon they beat me. However, not so seriously. And also, there's another memory I remember of our time at Weagle Road, of two actually. One of having some teeth removed, and being at home, and my mother went out to the shops and was very slow in returning, and we became rather alarmed, and I actually went out to look for her, which is a hopeless exercise, I had no idea where she'd gone. I really had no idea where